How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Grand Archive deck tech video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today we have a really cool level 3 Diana Moonpiercer deck. I have it in of course my Diana deck box, and I think this deck is super cool. Why should you care about this deck? Well, it is a full level 3 deck. It uses a lot of really interesting Astra element cards. It focuses more on your champion than allies, and you can kind of think of this as an direct upgrade to the starter deck. In fact, if you have 2 of the Diana starter decks, you can kind of, well, the Distorted Reflection Diana starter decks, I should be clear because there's actually 2 different Diana starter decks. The Distorted Reflections Diana starter decks, if you have 2 of them, it's not that many more cards to upgrade that into this deck, which is one of the coolest things about it. And this is a fully competitive deck. I want to give a big shout out to Dan from Main Deck. Yes, the team that actually won the previous Grand Archive World Championships. Big shout out to Taylor over there. But I asked Dan, I was like, hey Dan, do you have any cool CL or Diana decks? And he's like, yes, give me a second. And then he got back to me and he gave me this deck list and he kind of gave me a little bit of rundown, and I've been playing this over the last a week or so, and it's super fun and I like it a lot. So big shout out to Dan. I did not make up this deck, mostly from Dan. And other people on his team, I guess, as well, but I got it from Dan. Anyway, let's go ahead, cut the preamble, let's go into the top down and talk about this Diana Moonpiercer deck. Oh, it's water too, I didn't mention that. Ooh, water. All right, let's get started. All right, let's get started. I don't really have a sponsor for today's video, except for, I guess, maybe myself. So if you would like an awesome Astra-themed playmat, go ahead and check this out on redzonerogue.com. Drawn by a Grand Archive artist, Faicha. This is Katsumi, the Astral Assassin. She looks beautiful. I would use this as the playmat for today, but I also have this Sidereal Spellshot playmat that I have not used at all since picking it up at Anime Expo, and I really want to at least get some use out of it. So we're going to use this as the playmat for today. As we zoom in, here we have the deck in one of our Ascent deck boxes. Obviously we're using the Diana one, and obviously we are using the Diana Moonpiercer sleeves from Dragon Shield. If you don't have these sleeves, I guess we'll have another sponsor, Dragon Shield. They are a regular affiliate of the channel. If you would like anything from dragonshield.com, check out our affiliate link, Rogue5, get 5% off your order. So if you'd like to get some of these awesome Dragon Shield sleeves, we'll go check that out. And they are dual matte. They're like dual matte art sleeves. They're actually really, really nice. One of the reasons I was really stoked to actually build this deck. This is our sideboard. We'll talk about this at the end. Pretty relevant. Mostly we're going to be siding against ally matchups, but we'll talk about that as we go on. We have the material deck, and then we have our actual main deck. So let's go ahead. We'll talk about the material deck first, as usual. Obviously, as I mentioned, our champion of choice is Diana Moonpiercer, who enables the Astra element. We'll talk about her in a moment. Let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the lineage. So, of course, we have Water Spirit. Just a regular Water Spirit. On enter, draw 7 cards. Cool. We have Diana Aether Dilettante. This is our level 1 Diana from DTR. 19 health, on enter. If Diana is distant, materialize an Aetherwing card from your material deck. You still pay its costs. And then it also has this inherited effect of ranged 1. Note that ranged stacks. So if you have ranged 1 and then another instance of ranged 1, you get both of them. So you get, it's like range 2. And then you also might be asking, hey, how do I make Diana distant during the material step? Well, let me go ahead and show you an example from the main deck, a really easy example. We have Backstep here. And so Backstep is a 2-cost fast action ranger spell, and it says target unit becomes distant. And then it has a little bit of reminder text. Units stay distant until the end of their controller's turn. And then you get a draw card. So what you would do is you can start the game, you do your Water Spirit, maybe play something, maybe don't play something, depending on what you're kind of doing. And then on your opponent's turn, you play Backstep to make your Water Spirit distant, right? And then that unit stays distant until the end of your turn, which is, since you do it on your opponent's turn, you still have a full turn of being distant, which is great. So that means when you go to materialize and level up your Diana, you can do this effect, which is great. And then we have a lot of nice targets for that on enter. We'll talk about when we get, well, then a couple cards down. Our level 2 Diana, Diana Judgment's Arrow, 22 health Diana Lineage, on enter. Load up to 2 Aether Charge cards from your hand and or memory into an Aetherwing weapon you control. For each card loaded this way, draw a card into your memory. This is great, and I should mention that this does not care about element requirements, right? So you can actually load up your Astra Aether Charges into your Aetherwing. I'm just going to call them charges and wings. You can load 2 charges into your wing. Doesn't matter what they are, which is really, really good. And then Inherited Effect, range 1. So yeah, excellent card. Essentially like a filter 2, almost like maybe like a draw 2, depending on what you have going on. And then finally, we have our level 3 Diana Moonpiercer, 25 health, Diana Lineage. Whenever Diana becomes distant, choose one. Negate each card activation that targets Diana unless its controller pays 2. Then, if Diana is defending, end the combat phase unless the attacking player pays an additional 2. So basically, just tricky, right? She's kind of like give them the slip. You can make it. She has really good defensive abilities, and this means that distant is a really, really important mechanic for us, both for enabling some of our other stuff, such as our ranged effects. So once again, if this unit is distant, they get the +1 while they are distant, +1 to their attacks, which is really good. So she will have a 2, range 2. So anytime you make her distant, she'll get a +2 to the attack, which is really good. Or you can either do that kind of a slippery effect, or you can just glimpse 2, which is pretty good for some of our Astra cards. So yeah, that's essentially what we're going to be doing for this deck. And we're going to be leaning into this quite a bit. We're going to be attacking a lot with Diana, and we're going to be loading our Aetherwing with Aether Charges, loading our wing with charges, and then attacking. That's going to be the game plan. That's how we kill our opponent. We're going to attack them with Diana. So yeah, very cool. We're actually not running very many allies at all in the deck. All right, next up we have the, I want to call this Triumvirate. This is the Trivariate Dream. This is really good. This is one of our like key kill cards. It's a 0 cost Aetherwing. It's a 1 attack, 3 durability, Ranger Aetherwing. The way Aetherwings work is you basically load Aether Charges into the Aetherwing. We'll talk about Aether Charges. Half of our deck literally is Aether Charges. And then you can shoot them at your opponent for your attack, right? So instead of attacking with a sword, like here I attack with a sword, you charge up your Aetherwing, and then with the Aether Charges, and then you shoot the Aether Charges out, like loading a gun or loading a bow, but it's like magical spells. You can load multiple, and you can fire multiple at a time. When you attack, and when you attack, you shoot them all at once. You don't get to pick and choose, you just fire all of the ones that are in there. And on attack, if there are exactly 3 Aether Charge cards in the attacker's intent, this gets an additional +3. So base level, if you're attacking with 3, assuming they all attack for 1, that's 3 on that attack, 3 on the additional +3, that's 6, +1 is 7. So this basically attacks for 7, just if you do the effect. And then if you're distant with Diana, getting the range 2, that's additional +2, so 9. So you can see how this kind of can get out of control, and that's not with any other things going on. So it's very, very strong. This can do a ton of damage. So yeah, this is an important one. This is one that you really want to protect. It doesn't have any protection baked into it like some of these other ones. Like the Aqua Mirage Whisper, which does have protection baked into it. So another 0 cost 1/3. It has Spell Shroud, and then class bonus on hit, glimpse 1 + X, where X is the amount of damage dealt by this. Then put the top card of your deck into your graveyard. So this is pretty sweet. We have a lot of floating memory in the deck. The way we level up is going to be through floating memory. We're not running dungeon guides at all, and this is something that Dan kind of like made a point of, is that they found that dungeon guide's not good in the deck. We have so much floating memory, you just use your float. So yeah, and then glimpsing is really good, obviously, for setting up our Astra cards and also smoothing out our hand and everything. This is a great one to get early because it has Spell Shroud. Yeah, this one's fantastic. This one I found in testing, it's not great to get out super early because it's just a big target, right? It's a really powerful card and it doesn't protect itself. So this one is better to get out on a turn where you think you can kind of, you know, dunk them with it. So yeah. Then we also running the Quicksilver Grail. This is the most expensive card in the deck, and honestly, I would say it's semi-optional. It's a really good card. It's really good in this deck, but it's not needed for the deck to function if you just want to play this at like a casual or like at your locals or anything like that. So if you don't have a Quicksilver Grail, I know they're expensive, just put in any other Divine Relic. If you have a GCR, Grand Crusader's Ring, hey, you can put that in instead. If you have something else, you can probably put that in instead. But what the Quicksilver Grail is, it's a Divine Relic, which means you can only have one Divine Relic. And then on enter, you banish a non-champion card from your material deck face down, and then you banish the Quicksilver Grail, and you play the banished card. You still pay for its cost. So basically what you do with this is you get the Quicksilver Grail, and then you sneakily hide something else like underneath it. And the reason you do that is to protect that thing for when you actually need to use it. So the biggest case here, Dan was telling me, and I do agree in testing, is you usually hide the Flash Grenade under it. So you do your Quicksilver Grail, and then you do Flash Grenade under it. So that's the Quicksilver Grail. Let's talk about Flash Grenade. So Flash Grenade is a 1-drop, class bonus draw card. So we get a draw card, which is great. And then you can banish this, and until end of turn, if damage would be dealt to a distant unit you control, prevent 3 of that damage. So this is super good. This is not like a prevent the next 3. It's just if damage would be dealt, prevent 3 of that damage. So it's super, super good at protecting you for the entire turn. That's why you would want to really like hide it under your Quicksilver Grail, and then you pop the Grail, play the grenade, draw your card, and immediately like pop this, which is really, really nice. Obviously, once again, we care about distant quite a bit. So yeah, this is very good for protection. And then we also have the Tariff Ring, which is decent for protection as well, but it's a little bit more restricted. So Tariff Ring is a 0-drop. Banish the Tariff Ring until end of turn. Players can't declare attacks unless they pay 2 for each attack declaration. Really good against ally decks. So you bring this in if your opponent has a bunch of allies and you need to protect your life. But you can only activate this during your opponent's recollection phase. But yeah, still really solid. We are running, I'll just kind of show the sideboard real quick. We are running Safeguard Amulet in the sideboard. That's another one that we would want to hide under the Quicksilver Grail. This one just says if your champion would take non-combat damage this turn, prevent 4 of the damage. And you banish the Safeguard Amulet. So it's similar to the smoke bombs, or not smoke bombs, the Flash Grenade. We are running smoke bombs. It's similar to the Flash Grenade, but it prevents more, but specifically for non-combat damage. So like your wizards and that kind of stuff. Fractals, all that kind of good stuff. Here's the Smoke Bomb. So we are running Smoke Bombs. Smoke Bombs is a 1-drop. You can banish the Smoke Bombs. Target ally gains stealth until end of turn. Draw a card. What this is actually good for is it's good for giving your opponent's stuff stealth, like your opponent's interceptors or taunts stealth, so we can attack past them. That's usually what you do this on. You give this to your big opponent's Chungus, just anything that's big, and then you can attack past it for good damage. So that's why we run the Smoke Bombs. You technically can give it to our own stuff, but we're usually going to use it on our opponent's thing. Next up, we have the Radiant Vega. This is one of the Astra element cards. This is an Astra Aetherwing. It's a pretty interesting one. It has a base attack of 2 and a durability of 5, and you can pay 2 and use the effect and remove 2 durability counters from it. And then you negate target card activation unless its controller pays X, where X is the amount of Aether charge cards loaded into Radiant Vega. Activate this ability only if your champion is distant. So it's kind of like a negation effect. And we have a lot of negation effects. We have negation effects on Diana. We have a negation effects in the deck. So it's kind of like a slippery kind of deck. It's a pretty sweet card. Yeah, just more negation stuff. But you do definitely, you can see what we want here. We want to load this with charges, and we want to make our champion distant. Yeah, you're kind of seeing how we function. Now we have the Ranger Strides, another Astra card. This one is pretty simple. It's a 1-cost on enter draw card, and then you can banish it and give Ranger ranged 4. So it gets an additional 4 attack if it's distant. So combined with the 2 on Diana, this gives basically an additional, like, makes our range 6, so we get a 6 attack. Once again, you add this on top of the Triumvirate. Like I said, I keep calling it Triumvirate. the Trivariate Dream, and then you deal a crap load of damage. But you can do that with any of our Aetherwings. We really want to protect our Aetherwings, by the way. Like, we basically only win by attacking with our Aetherwings, so protecting our Aetherwings is really, really important. And as you can see, we're only running 3 of them in the deck, and they can get there. They do so much damage. They'll look at the job done, but you need to make sure to protect them. That's why getting the Aqua Mirage Whisper out first is generally good, because it has Spell Shroud. We don't want our opponent to fracturize it or anything like that. So yes, that is our material deck, and it basically sets up the game plan for the actual deck. So let's start talking about the rest of the deck. So we're only running 2 allies in the entire list, and that is Frostborn Paladin is one of them, and the Thronekeeper Bullfrog is the other, and they're very similar, except for the Frostborn Paladin can actually chip in for some damage and get some work done. If you didn't know, Frostborn Paladin is a 3-cost 2/3 with Intercept, which is great, helps us protect our life. And then on enter, you can banish a card with Floating Memory from your graveyard. If you do, you draw a card and you put a buff counter on this. Crazy good. One of the best units in the entire game. Has been ever since it was printed. It's essentially a 3-cost 3/4 draw card, and if you banish a Floating Memory, and we're running a ton. So this card is great, and we're running full 4 of. And then the other ally we're running is the Thronekeeper Bullfrog, a new card from DTR. It's just a 0/4 with Taunt and Floating Memory. That's it. So 3-cost 0/4 with Taunt, Floating Memory. So it's kind of like the little 0/2, except this one is water and it's a 0/4. I can't believe I can't remember the 0/2. It's like Safeguard Paladin or something like that. Something like that. I know what it looks like. I know. All right, so let's start talking about a bunch of the other cards. Now, every other card on our deck is essentially going to fall into a couple different categories. They're either going to be cards that give us distant, Aether Charge cards, negation cards, or removal, or some combination of those. Sometimes it's a removal and an Aether Charge. Sometimes it's distant and an Aether Charge. We'll show you. Sometimes it's just a negation. So first up we have Backstep. We already talked about this. This is just a great card to play on turn 1 to give Diana a distance, so we can get that on enter effect on her level 1. It's a 2-cost. It has fast. Give your champion distant. Draw a card. Yeah, it's great. Running a full 4 of. Exactly what we need to do. Next, we have one of the best cards in the entire deck, Weaving Mana Stream. This is a 2-cost, fast speed Ranger Aether Charge spell. And the way that Aether Charge cards work is that you basically just do what they say on the card, and then if they load up, and this one has a special condition to load up, then you do the attack when you fire them off from your Aether Charge after they're loaded. But when you play them, you don't really care about the attack all that much. You just do the effect on here. So what the effect is your champion becomes distant, which is really good. Once again, we really care about becoming distant. This also has Floating Memory, class bonus, and then Diana bonus, element bonus. Whenever this card is banished from our graveyard to pay for a memory cost, you may load it into an Aetherwing weapon you control. So what that means is we pay to give Diana distant, and then later, like the effect will resolve, it'll go into our graveyard, and then later when we pay for the floating, or use the Floating Memory to pay for a cost, we can then use it to load into our Aetherwing and then fire it off. It's super good. We get like this dual kind of nature for it. It gives us distant, it pays for stuff. It's a really, really good and efficient card. Next up we have Undercurrent Vantage. This is a 2-cost fast speed ranger skill. Glimpse 3, then your champion becomes distant, which is great, and it also has class bonus Floating Memory. Excellent. Keep in mind, class bonus Floating Memory, so you can't use this as Floating Memory to go from your spirit to level 1. This is more of like a level 1 to 2 or 3, or pay for anything else, but it's still really good. And distant or Glimpse late in the game is really, really good. Combination of Glimpse and distant is just really solid. So this card is fantastic. Here we have the Tactical Retreat. This card is also pretty sweet. It's a 3-cost fast speed class bonus Floating Memory. Once again, Floating Memory, really good. And then target unit becomes distant. If that unit is defending, end the combat phase, which means as the phase ends, banish all triggers, activations, and materializations on the effects stack. So this is just a nice little, hey, I'm going to get out of combat, you don't get to attack me. Super good. We're running 3 of these in the deck. Now we have Mana Bolt Convergence. This card is super sweet. This is a 2-cost fast speed Ranger Aether Charge spell. And it says, until end of turn, you may activate target Aether Charge card in your graveyard. You still pay for its costs, and then you may load Mana Bolt Convergence into an Aetherwing weapon you control. This is super good. It basically lets us play an Aether Charge card again from our graveyard, and we have some really, really good ones we can do that with. So this is kind of just a nice buyback on whatever we need from our graveyard if it's an Aether Charge card. So we are running 3, just super solid card. Next up we have Etheric Calibration. This one is another Ranger Aether Charge spell. Fast speed, 2 cost, glimpse 4, then reveal a top card of your deck. If that card is an Aether Charge card, put it in your memory. So kind of like drawing a card, really good. A ton of our cards in our deck are Aether Charge cards. I think like literally like half of the cards in the deck, pretty close to 30 of them. And then you may load Etheric Calibration into an Aetherwing weapon you control. So pretty solid, do the effect, then you load it, and then you can fire it off later. Yeah, super good. Glimpse 4, yeah, basically draw a card. This card is excellent. All right, next up we have just a really nice catch-all negation card with Frostbind. This is kind of a staple for the game right now. This version, by the way, if in case you're curious, this was the World promo version for 2024. So this is a 2-cost fast speed cleric spell reaction. You just negate target card activation unless its controller pays 2, and then banish the card that had its activation negated this way. Super good. Running 2 in the main deck, and we're actually running 2 in the sideboard in case we need more negation. It's really solid. Next up we have a 1-of Chained Charge. This kind of goes together with the Frostbinds here. It's very similar. So it's a 2-cost Ranger Aether Charge spell reaction. It's fast, has a attack for 1, and then class bonus costs 1 less to activate. So it only costs 1 for us, which is great. And then it says negate target card activation unless its controller pays 1, and then we can load this into our Aetherwing. So this is kind of like a Force Spike if you know Magic the Gathering. So basically counter the thing unless they pay 1, but either way we get to load this into our Aether Charge, which is really solid. Then we can use it to fire off afterwards. So it's pretty good. Next up we have Charge the Soul, another sweet Aetherwing. This is a 1-drop. It's a Ranger Aether Charge spell. It's fast. Deal 1 damage to target unit. Then you may load Charge the Soul into an Aetherwing weapon you control. And it also has Floating Memory. This card is sweet. So ping something for 1, ping an ally, ping your opponent's face, and then you load this up. So great damaging card. We're running 3 of this. And we have more removal here with Drown in Aether. This is a 2-cost Ranger Aether Charge spell. This one is slow, so one of our few slow. Class bonus, fast activation. Ha, I got you. It's not slow. Target rested unit gets -3 until end of turn, or -3 health until end of turn. Then you may load Drown in Aether into an Aetherwing weapon you control. These are really nice. These are like a removal suite for allies, right? So these are generally pretty solid and just kind of like taking care of opponent's stuff. We have more anti-ally tech in the sideboard, running 3 of these as well. Next up we have Fracturize, another staple of Grand Archive at this point. It's a 2-cost Cleric Mage spell, has fast speed. Target item or weapon becomes a Cleric Fractal Fantasia with Reservable and loses all other abilities. And it also has Floating Memory. It's really solid in dealing with any pesky and weapons, whatever, any pesky shenanigans that our opponent's doing. Fracturize is really good. This is the card that we're actually personally afraid of our Trivariate getting. We don't want it to get fracturized. So yeah, this card's really solid. And if you're playing blue, if you're playing water in Grand Archive, you're probably going to be running this one. Yeah, it's really good. All right, so the rest of the deck is Astra cards. So let's talk about them. They're really sweet. So this is Guided Starlight. This is the reason why you would need 2 of the starter decks, because this is a starter deck exclusive and you only get 2 in a starter deck. So if you have 2 starter decks, well then you have a full 4 playset. And then most of the other cards, I didn't go over it, but most of the other cards in here, with the exception of like Fracturize and a couple others, but most of them are starter deck cards, like Drown in Aether, Charge the Soul, let's see, the Calibration, not Manibolt Convergence, and not this card, but like Undercurrent Vantage, not Weaving Mana Stream. But a lot of these other ones are. So a good chunk of the deck is actually from the starter deck, including almost all of the Astra cards. So we have Guided Starlight. In fact, maybe all the Astra cards. We have, well, actually no, I think there's one exception. Anyway, Guided Starlight. Let's talk about this. So this one actually attacks for 2. This is a Ranger Aether Charge spell. This one has a new ability called Aether Calling, which means while you see this card, while you're glimpsing, you can actually load it into your Aetherwing. Only if we have the element bonus, though. So only if we have Astra, while we're glimpsing, we can just load this into the Aetherwing while we're glimpsing, which is really, really good. We wouldn't get the effect here, but we just get an additional thing we can shoot at our opponent. And it says, our champion's next attack this turn gains unblockable unless an opponent pays 3. So this is a really good card in our deck. as you saw with some of the stuff in our material deck, we definitely think that, you know, intercept and taunts are kind of a big deal, which is why we really have the smoke bombs. So getting around that additionally with Guided Starlight is fantastic. Also, you can load it into your Aetherwing after the effect happens. So really good, running a full 4 of these. Next up, we have the Side Reel Spell Shot. Yo, we got the playmat. This has an X cost, and then element bonus Aether Calling, and then it has reminder text on this card. And basically exactly what I said. As you're looking at this card while glimpsing, you can load it into an Aetherwing. This one also attacks for 2. It's fast. And then its effect is class bonus. You glimpse X, then you may load this into an Aetherwing you control. So this is a big glimpse. So we get to glimpse a bunch of stuff. Hopefully we glimpse a bunch of the Aether Calling stuff, slap them into a weapon, and then go to town. Or maybe slap 3 of them into our Triumvirate and then go to town. Yeah, really good. We are running 4 of these as well. This is a starter deck card. Next up, we have another starter deck card. This is Constellation's Blessing, a 1-drop, 2-attack Ranger Aether Charge spell. Has fast speed, element bonus, Aether Calling. Good. And then class bonus, you draw a card. Then you may load this into a weapon you control. Yeah, it's really good. You just draw a card and you load it up. This is another one that we just want to do the Aether Calling. As you can see, we have a lot of cards with Aether Calling here. Not this one. This one is a negation card. This is Poised Occlusion. This is also another starter deck card. It's a 2-cost fast. Negate target card activation. Put the card that had its activation negated into its owner's memory. So this is just a straight negate, but they do get it back in their memory. And then class bonus, you draw a card from memory, and then we become distant. This is a pretty sweet effect. We're only running 2 of in here. And then I misspoke. All of these cards are starter deck cards because we have the Astra Sight. This is it's a simple card. It's a 0-drop, glimpse 1, then draw a card, and then it has Star Calling. Now, Star Calling is different than Aether Calling. Star Calling is you pay the cost, which is 0 here, and then as you're looking at this card while glimpsing, you can activate it by paying the cost. But if we do, we have to put all other cards we're looking at on the bottom of the deck in any order. So it's a little bit different than the Aether Calling, which in case, like, if you get multiple Aether Calling cards in a glimpse, you can Aether Calling all of them into your into an Aetherwing. Whereas this one, it kind of just ends it. But yeah, glimpse 1, draw a card. Super simple, and it's just a great one to play. So yeah, that is our main deck. Super fun. So the idea, once again, is you just load up our Aetherwings, and then we just go to town, and we have backup with our negation effects, our like anti-combat effects, and we have our like taunters, and our, I guess, intercept technically. And so yeah, that's how the deck plays. You just load up your Aetherwings and you just fire. This is like the Diana Magical Girl deck, like blast them with magical energy. It's super fun. I highly recommend you try it out. We're gonna talk about the sideboard in just a moment, but overall, I think the deck is just super good, super fun, and yeah, I recommend it. It's like I said, not too expensive to build, and there's a lot of like, you know, like if you don't have the paladins, for example, you can just put in any other thing that has intercept or taunt as like a not as good replacement, but it would work. Really, other than that, the only SR that you need to get at all, because like all of our Astra cards are from the starter deck. The only cards that are a little expensive is Fracturize is randomly kind of expensive, even though it's just a rare. I imagine this will get reprinted eventually, so keep an eye on this one. This one is a really good card and a really important part of the deck, though. And then the only SR that we have in the deck is the Weaving Mana Stream. Like, that's not from the starter deck. So, yeah, it's actually a pretty budget-friendly deck to build, especially if you want to make a couple, like, alterations to some stuff. Like, if you don't want to run the Quicksilver Grail, if you don't have one or can't afford it, you have some other options here. And then, of course, we have, Radiant Vega. But all right, now let's quickly talk about the sideboard. A lot of the cards in our sideboard are anti-ally cards. I have these Astral Shards. We don't actually use them for the deck. Those are just from the starter deck. But we have the Safeguard Amulet that we talked about. This is just like anti-effect damage. Like I said, against like fractals, or if Mage becomes a thing. It's pretty solid against the burn decks, essentially. We also have Regal Inquisition. I think this card is awesome. This is one of my favorite cards from DTR. It's a 2-cost normal, but it's EX, which means you can only play this if you have an advanced element active. So in our case, only if we have Astra. It's a slow speed card, and it says, look at target opponent's hand and memory. Discard any amount of cards from among them. For each card discarded this way, that opponent reveals the top card of their deck and puts it into their hand. Now, what you do, like, why do you play this card at all? Well, it's really, really good against decks that care about combos or care about specific cards. If your opponent's playing like a fire aggro deck, this card is not great. But if your opponent is playing something like a Gembu deck or just any kind of like deck that cares about combos or very specific cards, this is fantastic because you can hit all of the important cards and then they replace those, but you don't really care because you only care about hitting the important cards. So this card's really good against those types of decks in particular, and we are running 3 of them. Next up, we have Snow Fairy, a good favorite of mine. This one is just an anti-ally card. 3-drop, 1/2 stealth, and then on enter, you rest an ally we don't control, and then the ally does not wake up as long as we have the Snow Fairy. Really solid, nice anti-ally card. Now we have another Drown in Aether. This is the -3 health Aether charge. So this is our 4th one if we need it against more allies. Here we have our other 2 Frostbinds. Dan was running, I can't remember the name of the card, but Dan was running the one that is a negate, but it has a better negate specifically against allies. And I don't have that card, so I'm running the Frostbinds instead. And I'm just basically putting this in against decks with high levels of interaction, right? Decks that are running a bunch of like Fracturizes and that kind of stuff, where I would want to put this in so I can counter their Fracturize and keep my Aetherwings around. So that's why I'm running these. And then finally, we have the Vanishing Eclipse. So this is the Astra card that I was thinking about that is not from the starter deck. That I was like, oh, there's one from the starter deck. Or there's one not from the starter deck. This is the one that's not from the starter deck. It's Vanishing Eclipse. It's a Ranger Aether Charge spell, fast, 2 attack, Aether Calling, and then it says return target ally to the top of the owner's deck. Your champion becomes distant. So once again, really, really good against ally decks. Put on top of their deck, you kind of like blank their draw, and then we become distant, and yeah, pretty solid. So that's great. The one weird thing about this is it doesn't, as part of its effect, it doesn't load into an Aetherwing. You just do the effect, and it just goes into the bin. But we can get it off of Aether Calling, which is really good. So yeah, as you can see, our sideboard is kind of tailored. We have a bunch of cards that are anti-ally. We have some that's more anti-burn. I have just some anti interaction in general. And then this one's good against like combo decks or very specific style decks. And yeah, that is our Diana Water deck. I like this deck. It's super fun. I highly recommend trying it out. Like I said, most of the deck is from the starter deck. And if you have that and maybe some extra cards, give it a shot. I think it's really solid. And another big shout out to Main Deck Dan for giving me this list and yeah, doing all the hard work testing it out. Cheers. I think the deck's cool. Is it going to top any Ascents? I don't know. But is it fun and is it actually solid? Yeah, I think it is. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what kind of deck you would like to see next here on the channel. I'm very likely going to do some sort of fire-suited deck. I think that's where I'm going to be going next. But yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing actually genuinely really helps. The YouTube basically pushes your videos out if more subscribers watch your videos. So if you like the videos and you watch them, hey, maybe subscribe. All right, thank you. All right, bye.